Let's talk about Ruidus, and more specifically the Reilora. Could they be the mysterious Tishtan culture that vanished off the face of Exandria? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pixelists. I'm Will, coming at you live from the streets of Ruidus to ask, who built this city?
We built this city!
Okay, so before we get into the nuts and the bolts of this theory, first we need to go over the basic facts. And who better to do that than the man himself?
The texts speak of an era during the founding where the gods showed fear. Something from beyond the stars that they recognized arrived here. And they called it Predathos.
Predathos.
This Predathos resisted their miracles and hunted them.
Oh, fuck.
Spawning its own twisted life in its wake as it did.
Wait, Predathos?
Okay, so let's talk about what was important there. Alright, so we learned that Predathos arrived on Exandria at some point during the founding, and that it created twisted life forms in its wake. Alright, back to the master.
The texts then speak of an accord between the gods and the primordial titans to carve a prison from Exandria itself, to seal away Predathos and send it away into the endless darkness above. It seems the prison, however, clung to our world and hung in the sky. There's a new moon. Our theory is that in attempting to erase this known history surrounding this prison with an air of superstition and cursed tidings, it would dodge enough interest to ever really become a danger again. That is what for eons to their credit.
Alright, so now we have even more context. So now we know roughly when Predathos was imprisoned, and this would have been just before the time of the schism, because the gods had not split, and they in fact partnered with their enemies, the primordial titans, to take down Predathos. And we also know that information from this time has been intentionally hidden and obfuscated throughout the ages. Okay, so how do the Reilora play into all of this? Well, they are deeply entrenched with Predathos and Ruidus, as we've seen throughout the campaign. We have seen Reilora literally on the face of Ruidus, but we have also seen them via Imogen's dreams, and we know other Ruidus-born to have interacted with them in their dreams. And we have also seen at least a form of a Reilora literally summoned to the prime material plane by Imogen. So deeply entrenched here. So what are these things? Who are they? As we know, Predathos can create twisted life forms in its wake, so perhaps these are just born of Predathos. But I think it goes a bit deeper than that, because one, we know that Imogen and other Ruidus-born are physically transformed by their interactions and immersion in Predathos' power, let's call it. In Imogen's case, this is showcased by the fact of her lightning scars growing further and larger across her body. In addition to this, I believe the Railora are similarly transformed entities because we learn that they have different personalities.
Are these Reilora friendly? Like, did you get to...
Some seem to be. They were of varying materials. Some were solid flesh in dreams, others were made up of some sort of energy. Yes, they were intelligent, alien, always in kind of a crimson hue that was similar to the landscape that these dreams took place in. Some enticed with promise, others intimidated or demanded the dreamer. Others still brought empathy and comfort. It was a spectrum, which made it confusing. And at times, based on the interactions, we would continue to try and engage, but not always the same entities would respond. Sometimes the kind ones would not come back, and the aggressive ones would continue to take over.
This array of personality has me believe that these are not just mindless drones created by Predathos. More likely, these were, at one point, some sort of sentient creature that was transformed by its power, similarly to how Imogen is being transformed. Now, is that to say that Imogen's end game is going to be to become a Reilora? I don't think so, but I think it's just an interesting parallel to note. Now, what I'm getting at here is that perhaps the Railora were not just spawns of Predathos, but were at one point a race, a tribe, a group of peoples on Exandria that were transformed, and when Ruidus was created and Predathos imprisoned, perhaps a large swath of his followers were also. And that's how we have the city on Ruidus and the Reilora population still there today. Now, if this is the case, who might these people be? Enter the Tishtan. This is a society that Matt has been very tight-lipped about. In fact, they're not mentioned anywhere in any of the source books, and he's only briefly spoken about them in the campaign itself. And here we have every time that happens.
This site I've myself been studying. It's an excavation site of a ruin that has been reclaimed by the dusts of the valley. From what I could gather, it was a focus site for a solstice many centuries ago. Which helps my theory that ley lines actually shift over eons in a slow but cyclical pattern, meaning as they move, it's not randomized. There is an actual cycle to how these things move. Very slow, very expanded period of time. But this is a theory I've had for a long time, and it was very exciting to find some ways to find proof of this. Now, mind you,
Jeff Goldblum.
so the focus, when I say that, I mean it was constructed to be like a lightning rod of sorts, like a once before when it was a nexus as well. It could be a channeling point for this solstice energy. It seems to have ties to the long dead pre-Arcanum Tishtan culture, which is not much known about them. They were once kind of a nomadic, magic-obsessed society that traveled across Exandria during the time of the Schism, building small monuments and ritual sites for purposes that we're still trying to figure out. Not a whole lot of information about them, but it's really interesting. They mysteriously vanished with a little record kept, and I mean, why wouldn't you want to study that? That's great. That's what puts you in school. That's what puts you through school. That's what makes good books. You write good reports and get awards for that kind of stuff. I'm currently checking out the Tishtan excavation site myself. Tishtan, you heard in conversation previously about the ancient society that had
Ziggurat built it.
Yes, built these strange kind of devices to channel the power of
And we know that these ruins are pre-Calamity ruins.
You were told by Playwriter in that these were Tristan Ruins, which was kind of a mysterious historical
Right, like
culture that followed ley line nexuses and built ruins around them, and that's what this excavation was about.
nexuses, like the kind of ancient aboriginals of this area.
More or less, yeah.
Okay, so let's recap. The Tishtan were a nomadic society that wandered across Exandria during the time of the Schism. And we know that they were obsessed with magic, and they were following ley lines across the face of the planet and building monuments and ritual sites around the ley line nexuses. They were doing this to channel power for some reason. The only other thing we know is that they mysteriously vanished. Okay, so now we've got all these puzzle pieces. Let's try to bring them together. So the Tishtan were a nomadic society that traveled across Exandria during the time of the Schism. This time frame fits perfectly with the Predathos information. And what were they doing? Following ley lines and building ritual sites to channel power at ley line nexuses. Does that sound familiar? They might have been building prototype Malleus keys in order to free Predathos. Now, there's two possibilities here. One that I've been building up this whole episode is that the Tishtan are a proto-Reilora, and the large swath of their population was imprisoned along with Predathos, and so the ones that stayed behind, the ones that we have a very little bit of history of, this nomadic clan, could have been traveling around doing this because they were trying to free their locked away brethren, and of course Predathos as well.
I'm gonna get you out of here. I promise you, I'm gonna get you out of there. You don't belong in there. I'm gonna get you out. I'm gonna get you out of there. I'm gonna do everything it takes to make sure you get out of there.
The other possibility is that they are not the proto-Reilora and instead are just Predathos' first followers, first believers, and we're just simply trying to free him. I'm more inclined toward the proto-Reilora theory for now, but obviously it could be a number of things. But in any case, I definitely think the Tishtan are involved in this larger tapestry. Now, in addition to all of that, the fact that they mysteriously vanished also really plays in well here, because just like Ethodoc and Vordo and all of this information about Ruidus being intentionally hidden away from the ages, if the Tishtan were involved, it makes sense that all information about them would have been wiped to the best of the powers that be's ability off the face of the planet. So whether they were literally like exterminated and hunted down in order to keep these secrets, or if the dwindled population just ultimately spread out and scattered, who knows? But I still think all these pieces fit really well together. In any case though, I would love to hear your thoughts, which is why I made this video. Let's talk this out, let's figure it out. I would love to hear your theories. And quick plug, we have a podcast, the Pixelists Podcast, where each and every week we have about an hour-long discussion about the latest episode. So if you like theories, if you like talking Critical Role, definitely check that out. Would love to have you be a part of the journey with us. And until next time, y'all.